So good evening everyone. Let us start. We have been learning primary activities, chapter 5 of Fundamentals of Human Geography. Yesterday we discussed about hunting and gathering, nomadic herding, and commercial livestock rearing. So today we shall take up agriculture. Okay. So I will present my screen. So this is another economic activity, primary activity, agriculture, and the literal meaning of agriculture is tillage of soil. Tillage of agriculture here. Agriculture means tillage of soils or ploughing of soil. Actually, this word agriculture is derived from two Latin words. One is ager. So ager means soil. Another word is there, another Latin word, cultura, that is tillage. So the literal meaning of the word agriculture is tillage of soils. Okay, so it is one of the most important primary activities practiced in different parts of the world. So here let us read this sentence. Agriculture is practiced under multiple combinations of physical and socio-economic conditions which give rise to different types of agricultural system. That means, in other words, see, these are the factors for agriculture. Okay, what are the different factors affecting agriculture? We have these physical factors and socio-economic factors. And yesterday we learned some of the physical factors like landform, climate, soil, then socio-economic factors like status of standard of living, and other factors also there. Okay, so here the first type, see, based on methods of farming, different types of crops are grown and livestock are raised, and accordingly we have different types of agriculture. And the first type of agricultural system we have to discuss is subsistence agriculture. Now let us see what is meant by subsistence agriculture. So subsistence agriculture is one in which the farming areas consume all or nearly so of the products locally grown. Subsistence, as we have learned earlier, so this is an economic activity, is a type of agriculture in which all the products, all the farm products, all the crops are consumed by the farmer and his or her family. Okay, and there is little surplus in this type of agriculture. And we have two types of subsistence agriculture. The first one is primitive subsistence agriculture. It is also known as shifting cultivation. And the second one is known as intensive subsistence agriculture. Now let us try to find out important features, salient features of the first type of agriculture, that is primitive subsistence agriculture. So the first point is here, this type of agriculture is widely practiced by many tribes in tropics, especially in Africa, then South and Central America and Southeast Asia. Okay, so this type of agriculture, that is primitive subsistence agriculture, is practiced by many tribes in the tropics. Now let us see this map. Okay, so here, so this is the tropical area. This is the tropical area. Okay, so here is the equator is here, and so land nearby the equator up to 23.5 degree. Okay, is generally known as tropical region. And see here, so we have tropics of Africa as given here. So this is the tropical Africa. Then what is the other region? That is Central America, Southeast Asia. Okay, Central America is here. Then this is the northern part of the South America, then Southeast Asia. Okay, so in these areas primitive subsistence agriculture is practiced. Okay, now let us see another important feature. See here, this type of agriculture is also known as slash and burn agriculture, because the forest, the vegetation is usually cleared, okay, by fire, and that is why it is also known as slash and burn agriculture. And another important feature is that the cultivated patches are very small, and the cultivation is done with very primitive tools such as stick and hose. The size of the farm is usually small. Okay, so this is one important feature. Another one is that the farmer use primitive tools. Small tools are used, like sticks, hose, and very small spades. And so when the fertility of that particular patch of land is lost, okay, after 3 or 4 or 5 years, then the farmer shifts to another part of a lane and it clears the other patch of forest. Okay, so this is another important feature of this type of agriculture, and that is why it is also known as shifting cultivation, because the farmers are shifting their piece of land from one place to another place after 3 to 5 years when the fertility of the soil is lost. Okay, and so after some time the farmers may return to the earlier patch of land. Okay, after some years, after 5-6 years, the farmer may return to the same plot of land, and that is called cycle of zoom. Okay, see here. So this is the first patch of land cleared, okay, cut and cleared for the vegetation for cultivation. So this is the first patch of land. Then after cultivating for these 3-4 years, okay, after cultivating 3-4 years, again the farmer is shifted to another patch of land. Okay, this is the second one. Then after some years, again the cultivator may shift to another patch of land. Okay, and after some years again he may be back, okay, to the same plot of land where he started the cultivation. So this is known as what? This is known as the zoom cycle. This is known as zoom cycle. Okay, so the zoom cycle may be 3 to 5 years as given here, 3 to 5 years. But nowadays the cycle of zoom becoming lesser and lesser because of the loss of fertility in different parcels of land. Okay, so the last important feature is that in this type of cultivation, okay, this is primitive subsistence agriculture, is known by different names in different parts of the world. It is known as zooming. Okay, it is known as zooming in northeastern states of India. It is known as milpa in Central America, and it is known as Central America and Mexico, and it is known as ladang in Indonesia and Malaysia. So these are the important features of primitive subsistence agriculture. So any question? Any question? Okay, so let us proceed. So the second important type of subsistence agriculture, remember we are learning subsistence agriculture, and we have two types of subsistence agriculture. One is the primitive subsistence, another one is intensive subsistence. So why it is known as intensive? Because here the labor, okay, the labor input is very high and biochemical input is very high. That means input is very high in this type of agriculture. That is why it is known as intensive, okay, intensive subsistence agriculture, and it is practiced in the these densely populated regions of the world. Okay, and see the first point is here, the first feature. This type of agriculture is largely found in densely populated regions of monsoon Asia. So this is practiced in the regions of Asia where monsoon type of climate is enjoyed, okay, experienced. Okay, see here. So this is the map showing the areas of intensive subsistence agriculture. So here this is the region where monsoon type of climate is enjoyed, experienced. Okay, we have India, then Southeast Asian country. This is what called monsoon Asia. And see, basically there are two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. The first one is the intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation, and another one is intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. Now let us find out important features, salient features, and after that let us compare each other. Okay, see, the first important feature is here, characteristics is here. This type of agriculture is characterized by dominance of rice cultivation. Okay, so it is dominated by rice cultivation. The major type of crop grown here is rice. Another characteristics is that land holdings are very small. That is, size of the land is very small. Okay, say in case of India, we have only most of the farmer have say less than 1 hectare of land. Okay, some hectares, say some of the farmers are owning 3/4 of hectare, only half hectare sometimes. Okay, that means size of the lane is small. Okay, why the size of lane is very small? Because this type of cultivation is practiced in high density areas, high density of population areas in the world. Okay, and in those countries there is fragmentation of land holding. Okay, you know, when the father is dead, the land is to be divided among the sons or among the daughters, and that is why there is fragmentation of land holding, and the size of the land is small. Another feature is that, see, use of machinery is limited. Okay, number one, use of machinery is limited, and most of the operations, farm operations, are done by hand, that is manual labor. Okay, and the workers are mainly family members. And here another important feature is here, the yield per unit area is high. Okay, the yield, the productivity per unit area is high because there is lot of biochemical inputs. Okay, biochemical input, may say fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, farm manners, okay, are used to increase the productivity, and that is why the yield per unit area is high. But per labor productivity is very low. Why? Because it is practiced in the high density of population, okay, areas. It is practiced in the densely populated areas. That means the number of labor is very, very high as compared to the land, as compared to the size of the land, and that is why the labor productivity is low. Okay, any question about this statement, about this sentence? Any question?
Sir, you
Yes.
repeat intensive subsidized of agriculture.
What do you say?
Intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy.
By crops other than
Can you
paddy.
repeat, sir?
Okay, that means let us proceed. Okay, any
Yes,
question
sir.
about this intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by paddy? Any questions about it? Any question about it? Okay. So if you don't have any question, then let us proceed. Okay, good, it was clear. Then see the second type, that is intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. Actually here in this type of agriculture, the main crops grown are wheat, soybean, barley, and sorghum. Okay, these are the important crops grown. So in China, Manchuria, Korea, North Japan, so wheat, soybean, barley, sorghum are grown. And in case of India, wheat is grown in western part of India and part of this Gangetic Plain. And here you must know that the characteristic features of this type of farming is almost the same with those of the intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by paddy. The only difference is that in this type of agriculture, irrigation is done. Okay, irrigation is often used. So this is the main difference. Now let us try to find out the differences between the two types of agriculture. Here, the first one is intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. Another one is dominated by crops other than paddy. So when we read these paragraphs, we find that this one, the first one, intensive subsistence dominated by cultivation, is practiced in the areas of heavy rainfall, and that is why no irrigation is required. Whereas in this case, intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy, here it is practiced in the areas of medium to low rainfall, and sometimes irrigation is required. Okay, so these are the differences. And about the crops grown, again you can compare. For the first type of agriculture, so here rice is the dominant crop, and for this type of agriculture we have wheat, soybean, barley, sorghum. Okay, and see, remaining characteristics almost the same. Is there any other differences between these? Do you find any other differences? Yes. One more difference we can say is that in case of dominated by wet paddy cultivation, use of machinery is limited. Okay, that is, it is mainly done by this hand. Manual labor is there, mainly done by manual labor. And in the second case, use of machinery is there for the wheat cultivation. Where in case of Punjab, Haryana also, we have use of machinery. Okay, tractors and harvesters are used in case of the crops other than paddy. So these are the main differences between the two types of the subsistence agriculture, intensive subsistence agriculture, I mean. Any question? Are you clear? Okay, see that about the dominated by paddy, not clear. Now it is clear or not? Okay. Okay, again I will repeat for the features. Intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. Number 1 point, dominated by rice cultivation. Second one, size of land holding is very small. Then third one, use of machinery is limited and farm operations are done by manual labor. And the last one, yield per unit area is high because of lots of biochemical inputs. Okay, in this type of cultivation, biochemical inputs are heavy, and hence the yield, the productivity per unit area is high, whereas productivity per labor is low because it is practiced in the densely populated region. Okay, when we compare the size of the land with the number of the farmers, okay, the number of farmers is very big, and that is why per labor productivity is low. Okay, okay, let us proceed. Next we have another type of agriculture, that is plantation agriculture. So here important plantation crops are given here: tea, coffee, cocoa, rubber, cotton, oil palm, sugarcane, bananas, and pineapples. So these are the important plantation crops. Actually, plantation crops are cash crops, mainly grown for selling. Okay, and now let us find out the characteristic features. Okay, characteristic features are given here. So the first one is large estate or plantation. That is, the size of the farm is big. Okay, say in case of these American countries, USA, Canada, it is very big. Okay, thousands of hectares. And say generally the size of the farm is more than 40 hectares in most of the cases. In India also, in some areas, for example tea plantations in Assam, some tea plantations has the size of 200 hectares also. Okay, 200 hectares. That means size of the estate, size of the farm is big. Number one feature. Then second one is large capital investment. Okay, so it is a highly organized agriculture, and that is why a lot of investment is there. Okay, say here machines are to be used, and in some areas manual labor is also there, but machines are also used for processing also. Then another one is managerial and technical support. Okay, see here we require in this type of agriculture, we require these skilled persons. Okay, skilled persons, professionals are required, and it is managed by the skilled persons. And another one is there is scientific method of cultivation. Okay, scientific method of cultivation is there, scientific treatment of crops, and so they are also trying doing research and development and trying to produce different varieties. Okay, good varieties of crops, to be trying to produce good varieties of crops. Okay, say for example tissue culture, then other types of this treatment is there. Then another one is that single crop specialization is there. That is, only one type of crop is grown in a farm. Okay, only one type of crop is grown in a farm. That is called single crop specialization. Then sheep labor. Okay, another feature is sheep labor. Actually here manual laborers are employed from the surrounding areas. Okay, from the local people or from the migrant laborers, and hence the wage, okay, is cheap. The labor is cheap. And another one is a good system of transport is required. Okay, to link, to transport these products from the farm to the factories, and from the factories to the marketplace. Okay, so these are the different characteristic features of plantation agriculture. So this paragraph is very, very important, because say questions, 5-mark questions is asked from here in CBSE exams. Okay, and here, so these plantation crops, okay, are different from one part of the world to other part of the world. See, okay, let us see, cocoa and coffee are grown in West Africa, for example. Then tea mainly grown in India and Sri Lanka. Then rubber plantation in Malaysia. Okay, mainly grown in Malaysia. Then we find sugar and banana plantations in West Indies, and likewise coconut and sugarcane plantation in the Philippines. Okay, so in this way the plantation crops grown in different parts of the world are not the same. Okay, different types of crops, plantation crops, are grown in different parts of the world. Okay, depending on the physical factors, depending on the landform, depending on the climate and the soil, different types of plantation crops are grown in different parts of the world. And one information that you have to know is that, see, fazendas. Okay, so what are fazendas? Fazendas are large plantations, okay, large coffee plantations in Brazil. Plantations here means large estate. Okay, fazendas are large coffee estates, coffee farms, plantations in Brazil. And here we have a scene of tea plantation here. Okay, so this is a tea plantation, and the slopes of the hills are used for tea plantation because of favorable geographical condition. See, tea plantation requires a rolling ground. Okay, the soil must be well drained. There should not be water logging. When there is rainfall, the rainwater should be drained away quickly, and that is why we require rolling ground. Another one is that, do you see trees growing in the midst of the tree plants? Do you see? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you are
Yes, sir, I
seeing
can see.
these trees growing in the midst of the tea plants, right?
Yes, sir.
So these trees are grown to protect the bright sunlight. Okay, to protect the tea leaves, the tender leaves, from the bright sunlight. See, tender leaves. Okay, if it is exposed to bright sunlight, then the quality is not good, and that is why to get a shade, to get a sunshade, these trees are grown in the midst of the tea garden. Tender leaf means, see, tender leaf means, see, let us say this is the tea plant, and here one bud, the second bud, and this is the third one. So we have to pluck here. Okay, this is called tender leaf. 2 buds and a leaf to be plucked by hand. Okay, this is what called tender leaf. Any question about plantation agriculture? Emmanuel?
No, sir. It's clear.
Clear. What about Emmanuel? Emmanuel is there?
You already left, sir.
Already left. Okay. So another type of this agriculture is given here: extensive commercial grain cultivation. This is just opposite to this intensive subsistence agriculture. Okay, in case of intensive subsistence agriculture, the size of the land is small, and the inputs are very intensive, and hence the name is given. And in this type of agriculture, the size of the farm is very big, and this is mainly for selling, commercial purposes. For the intensive subsistence, it is for consumption, family consumption. Now let us find out the important features. The first one is given here. It is practiced in the interior parts of semi-arid lanes of mid-latitudes. Middle latitude. Mid-latitude means middle latitudes. Just see any map. Okay, just see any map. So here, so this is this area. Okay, this is what we call middle latitude. Here. This is called middle latitude. That is beyond tropics and beyond polar areas. That means in between the polar region and the tropical regions. And here the most important crop is wheat. Okay, wheat is the principal crop, and other crops also grown like corn, barley, oats, and rye are also grown in this type of cultivation. Then the second important feature is here, the size of the farm is very large. Okay, so in this case in USA it is about 2,000 hectares of land, whereas in New Zealand it may be around 500-600 hectares of a land. Okay, size of the farm is big. Then another feature is here, entire operations of cultivation from ploughing to harvesting are mechanized. So it is highly mechanized. Okay, say 1,000-2,000 hectares of land are cultivated by only one person or two person using machines. Okay, and hence the name this extensive is given. Whereas in case of intensive, in a piece of land so many laborers are there, so many human beings are employed in a piece of land, and that is why intensive. So in this case the size of the land is very big, and one or two persons do cultivation work using big machines. See here, I think you are seeing big machines here. This type of machine is known as combine, and so this is the machine which can do all the activities from ploughing up to this harvesting, threshing, harvesting. All this can be done, even packaging also may be done. Okay, so this type of machine is used, and therefore so this type of cultivation is highly mechanized. So this is one of the most important feature of this type of agriculture. And another one is here, there is low yield per acre but high yield per person. Why does this happen? Because the yield per unit area is low. Okay, because the size of the farm is big, and yield per person is high because thousands of hectares of land are cultivated by only one person or two person, and that is why the productivity per person is very high as compared to the intensive one. In case of intensive, I told you that in a piece of land so many laborers are there, and that is why the productivity per labor is small. Okay, and here this type of agriculture is best developed in the Eurasian steppe, American prairies. These are the grasslands, okay, temperate grasslands. So in these temperate grasslands, middle latitude grasslands, this extensive commercial grain farming is done in this area. The pampas of Argentina, belts of South Africa, Australian downs, and Canterbury plains of New Zealand. Now let us see this map. Okay, so here this is known as prairies of North America. Okay, prairies of USA and Canada. So in this region commercial grain cultivation is practiced. Prairie is a temperate grassland. Okay, a name given to temperate grassland. So this is steppe, what you call Eurasian steppe, and this is pampas of Argentina. This is veldt of South Africa. Okay, and this is downs of Australia, and this is Canterbury plain of New Zealand. So in these regions extensive commercial grain farming is done. Okay, in this temperate grassland. Again, let me repeat, what is this? So this is the prairies of USA and Canada, This is the Pampas of Argentina. This is the Eurasian steppe. This is the veldt of South Africa. This is the dawn of Australia, and the last one is Canterbury Plains of New Zealand. Okay, so in these areas extensive commercial grain farming is practiced, and this map is also very important because identification on the outline map of India of the world is asked in the CBC exam. Okay, you have to identify these grasslands on the outline map of the world. So any question from your side? Today attendance is very poor. What happened to those other boys and girls? Okay, so if you don't have any problem, let us stop here. As usual, please leave your names in the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much for joining my class. Okay, next time let us try to remind them. Thank you very much.